curious, analytical tone. Look closely at Christ the Redeemer in Brazil. Notice the geometry. It is a narrow, vertical pillar balanced on top of a relatively tiny pedestal. This specific aspect ratio, a towering vertical spike reaching into the sky, mirrors the dimensions of ancient Babylonian structures, such as the 90-foot golden obelisk. From an engineering standpoint, this shape carries a specific mechanical flaw. These monuments are top-heavy. To keep a vertical column of this mass from tipping over in the wind, it requires massive, heavily engineered concrete pedestals to anchor it to the ground. To truly understand the nature of these structures, we can look past theological debate and examine the unalterable physical evidence, the structural engineering of the monuments themselves, and the dictionary definitions of the words describing them. This structural pattern reveals a consistent architectural blueprint. It is a system that prioritizes the visual height of a monument over the unshakable horizontal foundation required for a lasting kingdom. This is an unrolled ancient Hebrew scroll, and it reveals how foundations work in language. In Semitic texts, a name is not just a label, it is a sentence that defines a structural action. The structural name Yeshua illustrates this. It involves splitting the name into two distinct roots, the divine name Yahuwah and the verb Yasha, which means to rescue, save, or deliver. The name describes a specific person performing a specific action. When that name is translated over centuries, from Hebrew to Greek, then Latin, and finally English, the foundational root letters are removed. The link between the name and the original action verb is broken. By the time we reach this early Latin text, the etymological root meaning has vanished. The modern English name Jesus is a phonetically constructed word. In any standard linguistic dictionary, the word contains no internal root meaning in Latin or English. As the linguistic foundation vanished, the focus shifted. Instead of a name that describes a specific action of sovereignty, the resulting title stands alone, disconnected from its original root. This shift toward rootless structures is becoming visible in modern construction. On Mount Hatis in Armenia, a massive project is currently finalizing the largest Christ monument in human history. Look at the intricate, low-profile design of this Khachkar stone. In 2022, the Armenian Apostolic Church opposed the Mount Hatis monument, stating that building a 100-meter physical statue goes against a regional tradition that focuses on spiritual presence rather than giant idols. Financial and political interests overrode these religious objections, allowing the project to proceed despite the concerns of the local church. To create the foundation for this statue, engineers sliced directly into the archaeological layers of a historic Bronze Age fortress at the peak of the mountain, clearing ancient ground to make room for modern concrete. These ancient mud brick fortifications help define the term used in Daniel chapter 11, the Ma'ozim, or God of Fortresses. The prophecy describes a system that honors strongholds and high places with gold, silver, and costly gifts. The construction on Mount Hatis mirrors the physical requirements of a ma'oz. By layering a modern metallic tower over an ancient fortress, the project fulfills the description of honoring a stronghold on a high place. A different structural contrast appears in Daniel chapter 2. It compares the shape of these man-made vertical monuments against the promised shape of a different kingdom. The text describes a stone that strikes the base of these vertical systems.
It grinds the metal and the concrete foundations into dust, causing the entire vertical structure to collapse. Following the impact, the stone does not become another vertical pillar. It grows into a massive mountain that eventually fills the entire earth. In this geometric comparison, the physics are clear. A mountain cannot be tipped over. It does not require a concrete pedestal for balance. It possesses a flat, infinite, and unshakable horizontal foundation. There is a psychological reason for the preference for the vertical idol. A statue on a hill can be managed, it can be visited, and it can be used to validate political pride. By combining phonetically altered names with massive, fragile physical fortresses on mountain peaks, human systems have created a counterfeit that behaves like the Babylon of old. The true covenant requires none of these materials. It needs no concrete pedestals, no aluminum sheets, and no modified names.
It is a foundational law that will ultimately level every vertical structure humanity has ever engineered.